Louisiana beer reviews. Dixie Jazz Amber. Dixie Jazz Amber light beer is 4.13% alcohol. It was produced in New Orleans, Louisiana until 2005 when Hurricane Katrina hit. And there was a lot of destruction, and the brewery has never reopened. 92 calories. They brew this now at Minhas Craft Brewery in Monroe, Wisconsin. Uh, I had this many times, but I realized that I had never done a video review, nor have I ever done a written review of it, so I was shocked by that. I noticed that my true review, they didn't like it. There aren't many reviews for it. Gets a poor rating on Beer Advocate, a 9 out of 100 on Rate Beer, but a 70 out of 100 for the style, so you can tell they don't like light beer, which light beer is dull. And a fine rating on the Beer and Me, which would translate to like a C. Now this beer has been around since the 1970s, but when it first came out, here's an old can. It was called Dixie Light Beer. Okay. And they changed the label over the years. Here's a later can, Dixie Light Beer. Okay, and then in the early 80s, say around 1982 or so, got the silver can, Dixie Amber Light. See, so they started coming around more toward what we have now, Dixie Amber Light, New Orleans. 98 calories. 92 calories now, so they have changed the recipe a little bit. Then we have a bottle from around 1996 or so, Dixie Light, just like the regular Dixie bottle, but with the silver and blue. You'll notice light beers tend to be packaged in silver and blue cans and bottles for some reason. Doesn't have the calorie count on that bottle. Then around 2000 or late 90s, I guess, okay, 92 calories here, so this is the later recipe. Dixie Jazz Amber Light. This one they came out with the Jazz name, the name Jazz. Okay, and then we have the current design from about the last 10 years. I went to that brewery about a month before Katrina hit. Actually, less than a month. Oh, well, no, about a month. And they were showing me around the brewery, and then all of a sudden, now it's gone, so. Twist cap. I'd have just twisted it off. I'd have known that. Okay, some smoke. I was going to do this review outside, but it's pretty cold outside for April 25th. It's in the 50s, so I wasn't too big on that idea. Now, Minhas makes some notoriously bad beers like Jaguar malt liquor and Boxer lager, which I dumped a couple of those out. I couldn't stand them. But they can do a good job if they want. They have the ability. I mean, they bought the Joseph Huber Brewery up there, and so they just following the recipe. So they can make it as cheap and garbage as they want or as nice as they want. Same thing with City Brewery up there in La Crosse. They do some really nice stuff and some pure trash. Okay, a semi-clear golden appearance, not much of a head. It whipped right away, off-white head, and some screaming bubbles. Let's go with the aroma. I wasn't going to pay like $8 for a six-pack of this. I was just waiting around to see a single, and I found this single at World Market of all places in the Woodlands, Texas, so I picked it up. All right, the aroma is sour, and Dixie beers always have that sour aroma and flavor. I don't know why. I always like that aspect, but a lot of people don't. Sour, a little bit of roastedness. And a little bit of sweet grain, so it's not like a typical light beer. I'll tell you the truth. The flavor, it's not as sour in the flavor, but you get a little bit of that roasted malt. Um, Sweetness, a decent hop bitterness. And that it's got that light beer flavor. I don't know how to describe it, that mineral water flavor. But the Dixie has more body and a little bit more character than the regular light beers that you might get, like a Bud Light or a Miller Lite or a Coors Light. I always like the regular Dixie. Most people in the world haven't ever tried it, but it does have that sourness to it. They used to be aged in cypress barrels. I don't guess they're doing that at Huber or Minhas. Well, if you want a light beer that has some character and flavor to it, there are some that do, and this is one of them. I think it's really a terrific light beer. I've always thought so. Back 17 years now that I've been drinking it. So, or I've had it. I mean, I've probably had 10 bottles since 1996, but I always liked them, and they always taste the same. So, as you would expect, it has a light and watery mouthfeel, and the finish is pretty dry, crisp, clean, refreshing. It's really a fantastic beer. I think Dixie beer is one of the best of the adjunct lagers. They use rice, like Budweiser does. If you ever see it, and it's not that uncommon, because I remember driving through Connecticut in 1996 and there was Dixie on the shelf. Dixie is just a regional beer, much like Rheingold or Rhinelander or Olympia or Pearl, something like that. And it's pretty common in Louisiana. A lot of restaurants have it. You go to pretty much any seafood restaurant, they're going to have Dixie beer or Dixie Black and Voodoo or the Dixie Amber Light. So it does have a sort of a cult following down here in Louisiana. When I was a little kid 40 years ago, Dixie was probably the most popular beer in Louisiana, and then you had Schlitz, probably was number 2, and then all your other major brands started creeping in, and like all the regional beers, Dixie went kind of downhill, and by the time Katrina hit, it was just hanging on by a fingernail, and that's probably still the case. But they might be doing a little better now. Actually, the hurricane might have helped them out by they probably saving a bundle of money just contract brewing it. Same thing with Pabst. Pabst is doing much better now since they don't brew their own beer. But anyway, Les Bon Temps Roulé. This is a really, really nice beer. I'm going to give it an A-. I mean, for beer overall, it's an A-. It's excellent, and for a light beer, it might be an A+. So, and another thing, Dixie has that creaminess, that unusual creaminess. I just love it. So, and I'm going to end this review by saying, y'all come on down to southeastern Louisiana.